Donald Trump's $100 million private jet has some crazy features, and it's probably the most luxurious plane ever created. But he also owns multi-million-dollar mansions with secret tunnels, a $30 million yacht, and so much more. But first, let's start with Trump's custom gold motorcycle. The guys from the show American Chopper decided to surprise him with this 24-karat masterpiece. Even though Trump's known to be a biker, he just uses this beast to flex. It's been showcased at the red carpet in Trump Tower, but now it just sits in his Miami hotel. And since he's so popular, he didn't even have to buy it. They gave it to him for free. With this much gold though, it's gotta be worth at least $50K. But that's still nothing to Trump. Dude spends way more on his wrist. Cause just one of Trump's watches, the Rolex Day-Date Gold, is $15K alone. He also owns the same watch that Drake and the late Queen of England owned, a Patek Philippe Ellipse, worth $24,000. But his most expensive watch is the Rolex Ice Blue Platinum, gifted by the one and only Steve Will Do It.
I wanted to get you a platinum presidential watch for the president.
Wow. Oh, that's beautiful.
This watch isn't even available in stores and was custom ordered, making it worth $109,000, bringing his total collection up to $200K. But that's chump change for Trump, which is why he spent millions on his car collection. Most normal kids get a cheap hand-me-down for their first car, but Trump's first ever car was a 1956 Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud, and he loved the car so much. Decades later, he got Rolls-Royce to do a special favor for him. They pulled out the archives and made an exact replica just for him. Surprisingly, it only cost him $35K. But you know Donald can't be seen driving a cheap-ass car these days. He needed to upgrade to a $300K Rolls-Royce Phantom. And if you're wondering why they cost so much, just note that the volume control is literally made out of a 100-year-old meteor. You're not gonna expect this next car though, because even though dude doesn't believe in climate change,
All of this with the global warming and that, and a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay?
he bought the original Tesla Roadster for $200K. I mean, it is one of the quickest cars in the world, so who wouldn't want one? But just like every other billionaire, Trump also needed a Lambo. So he picked up a classic 97 Diablo for $460,000, which recently sold at auction for a record price of $1 million. He owns plenty other supercars, but his most expensive car by far is the Trump limo. As soon as he became president, he didn't hold back on the security, because if someone tries to run up on Trump in his limo, the door handles would straight up electrocute them. This limo's bomb-proof, bulletproof, and can even stop chemical attacks. While it's driving, it could drop tear gas, smoke screens, and slippery shit to prevent people from chasing it. And of course they got shotguns, grenade launchers, every weapon you can imagine. Not to mention he added gold wherever he could, making this car, tank, worth $1.5 million. But just wait until you hear how much he spent on the Empire State Building. Everyone knows how famous it is in New York City, so it's pretty crazy Trump owned 50% of it. But somehow, this man also got that for free. Turns out the owner Hideki Okoi couldn't control the building because it was leased out till 2075. So Trump hit him up and said he knew a legal loophole to end the lease. All he needed was 50%. Trump was basically capping though, because even though he tried to break the lease by suing, he failed. So he sold his share for $28 million. I mean, that's wild. Trump legally scammed someone out of 28 mil. And once he secured that bag, he dropped millions on not one helicopter, not two, but three of them. And he didn't even get different types. Trump got three of the same helicopter, the Sikorsky S-76. And there's gold everywhere. Custom gold carpets, seatbelts, armrests, door handles. This dude is obsessed with gold. But why would he need anything else when the S-76 is one of the nicest choppers ever made? And with that, it cost Trump 7 mil each, making his total helicopter fleet worth 21 million. Normally, he flies them from New York to DC, but sometimes he flies out to his $30 million yacht. The Trump Princess has more than enough space to land a helicopter, because it also has 4 different patios to chill on. Designed by a famous Italian designer Luigi Sturcio, this yacht is a work of art floating on water. But to really appreciate it, you gotta see the inside. The walls are made of expensive materials like chamois leather and bird's eye maple. I'm so broke I don't even know what that means. But the bathrooms are made of hand-carved onyx with gold everywhere. It's got 11 bedrooms and 4 elevators, with one being in his own master bedroom. Dude has a sauna in his bathroom and another on his private deck. The sun deck also has a full bar and its own pool that's protected by bulletproof glass. Even if somehow he was shot, this yacht has its own hospital with an operating room. But the funniest part is, Donald doesn't even like yachts. He said whenever he's on a yacht, he can't wait to get off. This man spent tens of millions on something he doesn't even like. Now that's a flex. But the next item Trump bought definitely isn't a flex, because it ruined people's lives. In 2005, he founded Trump University, which was supposed to help people learn real estate.
At Trump University, we teach success. That's what it's all about. Success. It's going to happen to you.
The first class was free to get people in the door. Then they would convince you to buy a course costing anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000. Unfortunately, every class in the course consisted of common sense, and then they try to upsell you on a more expensive course. Basically, it was all a scam. And if that sounds familiar, it's because people on YouTube and TikTok have been doing that for years. Trump was really the OG fake guru. After spending all of their money on useless courses, people were devastated. But you know what's actually useful and won't drain your bank account? Subscribing to the channel. It's free. Anyways, luckily the US government stepped in and got Trump to pay up, fining him $25 million and forcing him to refund all the students. Now that's pretty messed up, but this next item shows a better side of Trump. One of the most famous ice rinks in the world is the Wallman Rink in New York City, but in 1980, it was so busted they closed it down. This sucked for everyone visiting who wanted to ice skate during Christmas time. It was a tradition for thousands of families. For 7 years, they failed to renovate it properly, so Trump decided to come in and save the day. He bought the lease for $2.25 million and got the renovations done in less than 6 months, opening it up again for everyone to enjoy. And if you're thinking he only did it to make a profit, then why did he give all the profits away? Trump told the mayor he'd be donating all the money made from the rink to charities and public parks. Now that's nice and all, but he still could only do that because he's already stacked.
I'm really rich. I'll show you that in a second.
Which is why he owns one of the most stupidly expensive private jets in the world. But his first jet was the Cessna Citation X, and it's known as the fastest private jet in the world. He spent about $8 million on it, but he was still hungry for more. A couple years later, he upgraded to a $100 million jet, and this thing is crazy. It's nicknamed Trump Force One, and just like everything he owns, he had to goldify it as much as possible. The seat belts, windows frames, sinks, even the showers. This plane's 3 times the size of a normal private jet, holding up to 44 people. It's got a dining room, TV area with surround sound, bedrooms, and a complete gourmet kitchen. It makes flying actually enjoyable. But when he's not banging one of the flight attendants on his jet, he's probably banging a star in one of his mansions. And his cheapest one is worth $2 million, located in New Jersey on his golf course. It's got a giant heated pool, tennis courts, a fitness center, helicopter pads, just the usual. He had to buy the golf course though, for $35 million, so his wallet still took a hit. His next mansion though, is the craziest place I've ever seen. This private New York estate is a massive 230 acres. It's completely surrounded by nature to get away from his busy city life. Trump also rides his horses around the property, since we know he ain't walking around with all of that. And if he needs to cool off, he could go in one of the 3 pools they got, 2 outdoor and 1 indoor. Obviously, this is way more than he'd ever need. I mean, it's got 60 rooms, 60! But it's still in the middle of nowhere, which is why it cost him $7.5 million. His next mansion is in Palm Beach, Florida, so it cost him a bit more. And since this was his main place during his presidency, this mansion has some insane secret features. Like if there was ever an attack, there's a secret underground escape tunnel. And if Kim Jong-un decides to try and nuke him, he'd still be safe, because there's 3 different bomb shelters around the property. When he's relaxing though, he could be by the oceanside pool or eating at one of the restaurants inside. This mansion cost him $10 million, but he's also got a $13.5 million house in Beverly Hills. This place has your standard Trump requirements, like a pool and more rooms than you could dream of. But the coolest part about this house is that it's got top-of-the-line Bose speakers everywhere, so we can blast Lil Pump walking around. Trump also owns some other $10 million houses, like one in the Caribbean and one in Charlottesville. But $10 million still ain't nothing to a billionaire. That's why he needed to go all out for at least one of his properties. And you'd be surprised that his most expensive home isn't even a house, it's an apartment. This 3-story penthouse is located in New York City at Trump Tower. Obviously, he's got gold everywhere, crazy chandeliers, and so much art it's like a museum. He's even got a library full of expensive books, like a $15,000 signed copy of Muhammad Ali's book GOAT. His penthouse is worth $100 million today, and combining all his other properties, he's got like 155 million just mansions. Makes sense for a billionaire to own hella mansions. But one thing I'll never understand is why Trump bought an entire race. You might have heard of the famous bike race, the Tour de France. And in 1989, Trump wanted to show him the US does everything better. So he decided to create the Tour de Trump. The race went from New York to Jersey, and the winner would receive $250,000 just to set up the event. It cost Trump $500K, making the total check $750,000. But it would turn out to be a bad investment, because the race stopped after a couple years. Eventually, he started another race, but this one would end up killing someone. There was a Florida speedboat race that Trump had his eye on. He wanted to buy and move it to Atlantic City, so viewers could go to his casino right next to the race. But there was one problem. The race used to be in a place where the water was calm, but moving the race to Atlantic City, where the waves were much bigger, would turn out to be a recipe for disaster. During the event, boater Kevin Brown was speeding through the competition, going 150 miles per hour, when suddenly, Kevin was killed instantly, and the race had to be stopped. It was definitely a bad omen, and the race had to be postponed 4 days in a row due to bad weather. But Trump didn't care. All the fans that came to watch were bored out of their mind, so they gambled at Trump's casino instead, making him millions. And this was no ordinary casino either. It was called the Trump Taj Mahal, one of the biggest casinos in the world, and that's why it was Trump's most expensive purchase ever. This massive casino has way more than just some slots and blackjack tables. It's got multiple nightclubs to drink the pain away after gambling your life savings on roulette. But if you happen to win, it's got an entire shopping mall inside, so Trump can grab your money in a different way. It's got a spa, pools, and multiple high-end restaurants as well. And if you're really bored and somehow have a little money left over, you can hit the amusement park. Yeah, it has enough space for giant rides and games. And with all that, you might see why it cost him $1.2 billion.